Okay, picture this for a second. You're standing on a volcano, high up in the Andes. The air's thin, really thin. It almost hurts. And everywhere you look, it's just black rock, strange moss.
Yeah, bleed territory.
Exactly. And most people, they climb a mountain to plant a flag to conquer it. But think about this guy, late 1700s. He climbs until he literally collapses from exhaustion.
Right.
And right there, in that moment, he doesn't just see rock and ice. He sees, well, he saw the pulse of the planet.
That's a powerful image.
Welcome to Brilliant Minds Unlocked. Today we're doing a deep dive into Alexander von Humboldt, a real visionary. His goal wasn't conquering lands, it was understanding connections.
Wow.
This deep dive is really about how he showed us that nature isn't just a collection of things, but this living, breathing web of life.
And that's our mission today, right? To trace his journey, how he completely shifted our view of Earth.
Yeah.
We want to get past just the basic facts and look at the surprising reality behind his ideas. And crucially, how he backed it all up with just relentless data, numbers, measurements.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. His origin story, because it's kind of a rebellion in itself. Born 1769, Berlin.
Right into the thick of Prussian aristocracy. Serious privilege.
Absolutely. His path seemed totally set. Government work, diplomacy, life at court, comfort zone defined.
But he wasn't having any of it, was he? The sources paint him as this really restless kid.
Totally. Drawing maps on walls, collecting rocks, staying up late, dissecting bugs.
He wanted dirt under his fingernails, not diplomatic papers.
Yeah.
And he was driven by this pretty radical question for the time, wasn't he?
Which was?
Well, something like, can we understand the world by how things are connected? Not just by their names or the lines people draw on maps.
That kind of curiosity, it needs fuel. Not just time, but actual money.
And that's where his inheritance comes in. His mother dies in 1796, leaves him a fortune.
Okay, so here's his chance. Comfort, status, security for life.
What does he do?
He spends it all.
It's exactly. Not on an estate, not on luxuries. He buys instruments, the best available.
Barometers, telescopes, microscopes, you name it.
Yeah, top-of-the-line gear. His goal, apparently, was to use that money to, quote, dismantle ignorance systematically.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so he's got the gear, but getting out there, especially to the Spanish colonies, that wasn't easy back then. You couldn't just hop on a ship.
No, absolutely not. That was the next hurdle. He spent, 3 years? Working the courts, pulling strings, just trying to get permission. It was only in 1799, he's 29, that he finally gets the okay from the Spanish crown, who were pretty suspicious of foreigners poking around.
Right.
And then he sets off on this epic 5-year scientific journey through South America with M.A. Bonpland.
Okay, so permission granted. But the journey itself, the sources make it sound absolutely brutal. This wasn't some leisurely tour.
Oh, far from it. It was incredibly dangerous. They were facing torrential rain, snakes, spiders, deadly diseases.
Didn't they nearly get eaten alive by insects in the Orinoco jungle?
That's the famous story, yeah. Literally eaten alive.
Yeah.
But through all that misery, they were just relentless, measuring, collecting, sketching.
Taking notes until their fingers bled, as one source put it.
Yeah, the dedication is just staggering.
And what strikes me is the quantitative nature of it. He wasn't just saying, oh, look, a pretty flower.
No, never just that. It was, what's the altitude? What's the humidity? The air pressure? The magnetic field reading right here?
Data, data, data.
Always. And all that meticulous work really leads up to the big moment on Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador.
Which they thought was the tallest mountain in the world back then.
That's right. They pushed themselves incredibly hard, climbed up to 19,000 feet. Unbelievable for the time.
And then the altitude sickness, the exhaustion.
It's just overwhelmed them. Humboldt collapsed, physically couldn't go any further.
Now, for most people, that's it. Failure. Turn back. But for Humboldt, this moment of complete physical breakdown leads to this massive scientific insight. What happened in his mind right then?
Well, even barely conscious, his brain was still processing all that data he'd been collecting. He noticed something.
What was it?
He saw that the way the plants changed as he went up the mountain, the different zones of vegetation based on altitude, it mirrored almost perfectly the way plants change as you travel across the Earth's surface based on latitude, from the equator towards the poles.
Ah, okay. So the mountain was like a vertical map of the planet's climate zones.
Exactly. The pattern was the same, just one vertical, one horizontal.
So what did that imply?
That was the giant leap. It implied the world wasn't just a jumble of unrelated parts.
Right.
It meant everything. The moss, the volcano, the clouds, the air pressure, it was all interconnected. Part of a system. a network of causes and effects.
He called it a single vast organism, the Earth itself.
That's the core idea.
So he gets back to Europe in 1804, not like a conqueror bringing back gold, but like a messenger.
A messenger with this huge, holistic view of the planet.
And then he spends basically the rest of his long life writing it all down, sharing it, especially in his massive work, Cosmos.
You know, Cosmos was his masterpiece. And it was radical because it tried to capture everything, the physical world, the living world, even the stars.
All as one unified whole.
Right. And the way he wrote it, it wasn't just dry science. The sources say he used this passionate rhythm of poetry. He wanted you to feel the wonder.
That blend of science and feeling, it had a massive impact, didn't it?
Oh, huge. You look at someone like Charles Darwin.
Yeah.
Darwin practically memorized Humboldt's travel writings, carried them with him on the Beagle, called Humboldt the greatest scientific traveler who ever lived.
Wow, high praise.
And it wasn't just scientists. Simon Bolivar, the liberator of South America, he saw Humboldt as a mentor.
So his influence spread beyond just, academic circles.
Absolutely. He fundamentally shifted how people thought. He taught that just observing isn't enough. You need empathy too. Science is participation, not just sticking labels on things.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing for him, despite the fame. There was controversy brewing, wasn't there? A tension beneath the surface.
Yeah, that's really important to understand. He was celebrated, sure, but his core message was deeply uncomfortable for the powers that be.
How so?
Well, think about it. European empires were funding exploration primarily to find resources, to map territories they could exploit or colonize.
Right, cataloging what they could take.
Exactly. But Humboldt comes back talking about interconnectedness, interdependence. He's using his data to argue against that exploitation.
So he was kind of a scientific dissident, using the empire's tools against its own goals.
In a way, yes. He spoke out very clearly against colonization, against slavery, and against destroying the environment for profit. He saw it all as linked.
He called the empires barbaric for claiming to civilize while they were actually just draining resources.
He did. And there's that really powerful quote we should mention. He called it the most dangerous delusion, is believing that man is the master of nature.
Oof. Saying that at the height of industrialization and empire building?
Yeah. That did not go down well with kings, governments, or the big trading companies.
Did it hurt him personally?
Financially, definitely. Funding for publishing Cosmos and his other massive works became much harder to get. His message wasn't commercially convenient.
So despite being world famous,
he often struggled with money, lived pretty modestly, often in debt, just trying to get his findings published before he died. And the sources say he felt this real sense of betrayal, watching industrial progress start to scar the very landscapes he'd mapped with such love.
Which turns him from just a scientist into something more like a prophet, looking back?
I think so. He spent his later years constantly warning, that the Earth is fragile, that human greed, unchecked, would throw the whole system into crisis.
Warnings that sound incredibly relevant today with climate change and biodiversity loss.
Eerily relevant. It really makes you think about his identity. He was a scientist, yes, but also a poet, also a prophet. And maybe his real legacy isn't a statue or a mountain named after him. It's that invisible shift in how we think about nature. He made science into an act of empathy. He gave us this kind of cosmic identity.
Not rulers, but participants in the symphony, as you put it.
Exactly.
Which brings us back to that core question. What makes someone risk everything, their health, their fortune, their reputation, just for discovery?
Yeah.
For Humboldt, it seems true exploration wasn't about planting flags. It was about finding new ways of seeing and using knowledge for gratitude, not for greed.
And maybe that connects back to Chimborazo. For everyone listening, what's your Chimborazo? It might not be a literal mountain.
Could be fear, doubt, your circumstances.
Could be anything that feels like an insurmountable peak. But the lesson from Humboldt, collapsing there at 19,000 feet, is maybe about that connection.
Everything is connected.
Right. And the Earth needs listeners now, more than ever, not more conquerors trying to draw lines.
So the final thought for you to take away from this deep dive, really building on his whole philosophy.
Am I living in harmony with the world around me? Or am I just passing through it?